Is it fine?
No, no. Is it still not fine? I'm audible, right? Everyone, can you respond in chat or somewhere?
Yes.
Or my voice is breaking? I'm fine, right? From my
Yeah,
end.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, voice.
Okay, okay. It's actually like I'm not able to hear your voice that much. Okay. Okay, then probably you can post it in the chat itself. Okay. What about others? Dipta, Ranchal, or Dibya, Vinay, or anyone? Did you get chance to practice it?
Yeah. I have like first 3 days I have done. Last 2 days the NM from NM I have not done. Like really practice.
Okay.
I'm going to do this. Like, this weekend.
Okay. Because uh, if you do it then and there, I think probably it will not accumulate too much at the end of the week or at the end of the month. A
Maybe
personal suggestion,
yeah, maybe you can like give some
assignments or some tasks,
yeah
something like that.
for the weekend, like same using same whatever you taught, but different like projects.
Okay, I'll try to do that maybe from next week, right? And from in the next week, we'll start with conditional looping statements only, but I think that should be simple only. But after that, only the important topics are going to be started. Next week, only 1 or 2 days, we'll be seeing that conditional looping statements. Uh, just wait a minute. So after that, yeah, after that only we have some important topics, static and final, right? These are very important things: inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, interfaces. Hope coming weeks are going to be fun. Can we have a quick review about what we saw this week? Can we do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's going to be 5 minutes. That's it. Nothing much. Able to see my screen, right, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So we saw the basics, right? What are classes and objects, right? Oh, we saw like how you create a project here, and whenever you create a project, there is some source folder created, and you can go and add libraries and Java uh, versions directly going to source. Sorry, build path and configure build path, and you can add a system libraries here. System libraries are something which is inside in your system itself, right? Something like JRE is a Java library, and JUnit unit testing library that is also pre-installed or with it will come along with your Eclipse actually. Maven Maven also comes along with Eclipse. These are the pros which you have by using an Eclipse, right? Everything comes along with your Eclipse. Just you have to use those things. And how you will create a package. So you cannot go and directly create a class file. It is allowed, but it is not kind of recommended. You can directly say new class here. You say no package class. If you see here, the warning itself comes a use of default package is discouraged. So it is not usually recommended. If you create this, it our Eclipse will automatically create some package called default package. You can see for other classes, we are saying the package name here. Package, what is the package name here at initial? But for default packages, there is no package name given. That is how it is. Because when you take any name, right? I'll just show some example. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, let's take this. So I have done something like copy qualified name. Qualified name is something like it's a full name of that where that entire class files resides, right? For example, if you copy the qualified name for this automobile class, you get something like this. I'll guess get along with this package, right? Initial, but if you see this, I don't get this package thing for this no package class. It's kind of vague. We don't know where this is, and it's very hard to maintain as the project grows. So it is always essential to create a package and put something there. And we saw like how you declare variables inside the class. Variables can be of any type, can be of predefined type from the Java itself, like string, integer. Integer is a wrapper class. It can be int also, like this.
Karthik, could you please explain that part?
Which part, Sakshi?
That one.
Integer int, that one.
Yeah, below that.
This quote.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So quote is a custom defined data type, right? What I mean by custom defined is like string is something which is created by the Java developers in Oracle or any open source Java contributions, right? If you go to string, it is also a class, but it is present inside the Java library itself, right? Core Java library inside the package java.lang. But it is not such that we just have to use whatever classes. What is library? It's a collection of classes in Java, right? It is not such that we can go and use some classes available in Java and just make use of that method. We have some development projects. We have to test. We have our testing frameworks. We have to kind of do everything on our own based on our business needs or project structure or project needs, right? So we are going to create our own class each and every time. But what is our own class? Even the own class is kind of a data structure only, I would say, right? Why our own class is a data structure? Automobile is a custom defined class, but it is including many predefined library classes and a custom defined library class. It's a collection of data structures, right? It's a collection of how we are going to store data in a combined orderly manner. And so in automobile custom defined class, I'm storing a string data, integer data, and custom defined quote data. If you go to this quote class, we
Okay,
have,
so what kind of data it can have? Can it have integer also, string also?
yes, it can have. You mean the quote class or what?
Okay, okay.
I mean, you just
I
consider the custom defined class as a collection of custom defined classes and predefined classes. Even if you see the string, it
okay.
uses many classes inside. It's not like string. Oh, see, this is one prime example. You think it's an exception, but even this is a class actually, right? Class string out. So each and every class has its own functionality. We are just combining together and forming a single class for a particular function, right? So we are throwing some exception. Even this exception is a user defined class. User means Java developer defined class. That's what I mean to say. It's not like if you're when I'm saying string here, you're able to understand. Okay, string is a collection of sequence of characters. You are able to relate it. When I say quote, you're not able to relate because you're not able to understand what type of data it can hold, right? That's a question I think, right, Sakshi? When I say integer, we are able to relate. Okay, it has some
Yes, yes, yeah.
yeah, number data. When I say string, it has some string data. But
Mm-hmm.
when I say quote, it's a custom user defined data type. The quote class can hold what type of data types, whatever we define here. It can hold string, it can hold long, integer,
Okay,
double, whatever we define here, it can hold because it is custom defined, right?
okay, okay.
So only we are coming and saying here, okay, I need in this particular automobile class, I need to use this quote object also. So, right. And what this quote object does, it can process whatever information inside this quote class. I'm just having only this variable declaration here. I can have some methods here. I can have a constructor here. and each and every method defined in a particular class can do some particular functionality. One method can describe a code, one method can append something to the end of the code, one method can delete that. So some actions I'm performing over this particular variables, that is called methods, right? So this is a method in, sorry, this is a constructor. This is a method in automobile class. What I'm doing here, I'm just printing something, I'm returning an empty string. So this is a particular area where you can do anything you want. And this methods are designed to use whatever variables we declared here, right? To do some actions over the whatever variables we declare here. That is the methods main job, right? So you think this custom defined object as our own description of what data or particular action we want to do or particular data, and that defines a class actually. Okay. Even this automobile is a custom defined class. We are using this automobile elsewhere. I think. Yeah, we are using automobile here, right? You can even declare the automobile like this, automobile auto. So it's not throwing in error. So what I'm just saying, I'm just going to this user defined automobile class inside this test class. So what I can do with this, I can assign values of car make and year of manufacture in the test class. I can call this print object method, it will print something here. So whatever action that is relevant to a test class, I can perform once I declare this automobile object here. Obviously declaring here is a class scope, declaring inside the main method is a method scope. That's the only difference. So am I clear here?
Yeah, clear enough.
And we saw what's a constructor, right? Constructor, why it is used, it is used to initialize something at the time of object creation itself. Whatever that is present in the constructor will execute at the time of object creation. So only we use constructor to actually assign values to these variables declared in the class at the time of object creation itself. We don't have to explicitly specify, hey, I have created the object and that object dot car make is equal to some Honda, or that object dot car make is equal to Hyundai or something like that. We don't have to do that. We can directly initialize in the constructor itself like this. And this Honda object will defaultly contains these values. Car make, year of manufacturer values by default itself, because we have initialized at the constructor level itself. What's the purpose of doing this? Just make things simpler. We code easier and things simple. That's all. Nothing else. We can directly go and define something like this also. Honda dot car make is equal to, okay. Car make is equal to something. You can do like this also, but it's kind of too much code. You should again say Honda dot year is equal to Honda dot code is equal to, too much work, right? 3 lines of code. You can simply initialize like this. It's kind of very easy. So that's the purpose of constructor. And we saw how to assign the value of this particular argument passed to the.
Karthik, in some argumented constructors,
Mhm.
we were using this as well, while in some we do not use. So how do we differentiate like where to use keyword and where we shouldn't?
No, no, I didn't get your question properly. In some constructor, we use what?
This keyword,
Okay,
this
yeah, okay.
dot car make.
Whenever the arguments object name and the declared object name are equal, then we use this keyword to differentiate. For example, here we say car make, here we say make. Both are different names, right? What if the past argument name is also car make? Then see, it's throwing an error. Okay, not related to this, but it will create a confusion, like it's throwing a warning actually. What the assignment variable cannot has no effect. Why it has no effect? Because we are assigning the same value to the same variable itself. Karmic will have some value, example Maruti. We are assigning this Maruti to the Maruti itself. Doesn't make any sense. So to make some sense, we should use this keyword. We should say don't assign this same object to itself. Just put this keyword. You should assign this car make. What is this meaning? This class, this represents the class itself, right? Whatever car make object present in at the class level, this should have hold the value whatever we pass in the argument. So now the compiler will know what's the difference. Okay, hey, this car make and this car make object are totally different. So this car make object comes from the class level, and this car make comes from the argument level, like that. In those scenarios, this is compulsory. Otherwise, if you have two different names, this is optional. Basically, this represents class. In this particular class, this represents automobile. In any other, but if I use this in quote class, this represents quote. You getting the point?
Yeah, understood.
No,
Karthik,
yes.
yeah, can you tell me any like advantages of naming the like class argument and uh, the object?
Actually, it's a good programming practice. We'll always know, like it avoids confusion. Actually, that's a basic point. We see on this particular project is very simple. We have only one class with two arguments, but real-time projects are not going to be simple. It can have 10 15 constructors. It can have some 40 50 methods. This constructor may be called from n number of classes, maybe 40 50 classes will call this constructor at any point of time. So we will not know, right? If we pass the same value here and in the class level, then it doesn't create any confusion at the very big project level, because when we pass a different argument like this make, some may understand but some may not understand what is this make. There is nothing called a make in the automobile level. So it creates some kind of confusion. We have to very carefully maintaining the codes. It's a good programming practice to always pass the same argument name as the name declared at the class level, to avoid confusions for the large project, and maintaining is also very easy actually. That's the whole point. So did that answer your question?
And when we declare string karmic and pass argument as string karmic, is it like it's a different memory place, right? Both are different strings.
If it is pointing to same string thing, then it will maintain the string pool. I said you right. It will maintain the
Yeah,
string
yeah.
in the string pool. It will point two different objects will point to the same location in the string pool. For
Okay.
example, if the make is Maruti here, and I am also declaring some default value like this, I can declare some default value like this also. Right? So if I'm passing the Maruti here in the argument as well, then the both are different objects, but it will point to the same Maruti in that string pool. And if I don't declare anything here, if nothing is coming here, then this will take Maruti itself as a karmic value, because default value we assigned as Maruti. Right? Maybe let's try to run this. Uh, okay, there's no argument constructor, right? We'll just try to run this here. We'll delete this. Just creating a new automobile. So now why didn't assign any value, but why it's coming Maruti, because we have assigned some default values to this Maruti at the class level itself. It can be overridden by passing some value in this constructor, by calling this constructor, or by calling this constructor. Let's try to do that. Let's create a argument says Honda. If try to run this, now it's calling the third constructor, which has which takes this make as an argument. It overrides the default value whatever is given here, and we assign this car make as Honda. Then if you print car make, it comes as Honda. Fine.
Yes.
And what we saw is like what is constructor overloading, right? We can have a number of constructors inside a class with different arguments of different type, and how we are achieving static polymorphism, static binding, right, by doing some constructor overloading. And we saw how what is a general notation for or syntax for method declaration. We'll have access modifier, we have return type, we have that method name itself, and once you specify return type as void, nothing, we cannot return anything, but any other return type will expect this return keyword to return something. So now we are returning empty string here. And like we also saw this examples, right? Payment, what's how we are declaring, how we are kind of declaring a payment as a user. Yeah, how we can declare the user as an array inside this class level itself. How can we pass this user as an array itself, and getting each user from that array and printing its variables or calling its methods. And how can we do something like sorry.
But
Mhm.
what's the use of return? Like, and like if there you return an empty string, right?
Yes.
But is it necessary to do that? Like, can we make
Here
it as yes?
it is necessary to return something because it is returning, it's return expecting string object, right? We can, instead of empty string, you can go and return null.
But
That,
if we don't make it string, make it void or
yeah, it's, if it's void, then it is not necessary.
but when we need to do it string or for example any example where we need to do it string without it can work like something like that.
Okay, there are very simple use cases for this also. I have this automobile, right? For example, I'm just going to process some string and return this string. For example, I'm just getting this string as an argument, some random string as an argument here. String, let's say, okay, string test, some random string as an argument. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to modify this string here. Okay, string output is equal to test plus abc, right? I'm just going to return this sorry, return output. So I'm just going to change this thing as string. If I go and run this program here, right, auto dot is passing selenium here, and if I try to run this, just printing whatever available in the console here, right? Sorry, we'll try to, this is you test class, right? Okay, now we are just appended that ABC string to our whatever string we pass here, it's appending. It can have a number of use cases. So we can just go and take this and return a substring of the return output dot substring, let's say from third index. If we try to run this same program again, then it will cut short that output and see it is doing some other operation. So whatever operation, we can get some random string as argument. We can compare strings. For example, I can return what to say, I can do something like this also. For example, if output dot equals test, I can return true, else I can return false. Unreachable. Okay, okay. Return. We will remove this and we'll return the output here. So I can do something like this also. So obviously in this example, return false only. Such false. So we can do whatever operation we get from this argument and do some manipulations or whatever logic you have and return as a string output. Right?
So whenever there is a manipulation or remote manipulation, then return is like needed. But for simply printing a statement in a like print object, it's like not needed.
Yeah, just showing the print statement for a sake of example purpose. Or,
Yes, yes, yes.
so in real-time projects, there can be many. Actually, string is most common used return type actually in Java. Yeah, in your projects, you'll be getting most of the time do some manipulations or operations over the string and return that string itself. So in those cases, most of the times we use string return object only instead of void actually. So there are many use cases. I'm just showing some basic examples. Yeah, let's if you talk about some Selenium perspective, uh, we are finding some element in a UI object. We are getting its text, and the text is going to be processed in method, some method like this, which should have return type of string. We can trim that text, or we can change that text, whatever we want to store it some database or to pass as an argument somewhere. So all these kind of real-time examples use string as only return type, because most of the cases whatever we are going to fill the form or we are going to do some user interactions, most of the time it is going to be either numbers or strings only, right, in our UI. So like strings are most common use cases actually. Don't worry about this. This is something called ternary operator. I will cover this in Monday, I think. It's kind of simple if else logic only. If this is true, then return this, else return this. So we saw that, and we saw what is an enum also, right? How enums are used to store some constant variables, which is not going to be altered at runtime. How can we pass some value as an argument to enum constants? How we can get that value at the runtime? How we can use that in our project? It's always good program practice to go for enums. Even if you're using some boolean true or false scenario, it's always good to go for enum nowadays, because in every scenario there cannot be zero and one state. There can be intermediate states also. For example, there is simple use cases like whether the string is empty or not is kind of a true or false statement, right? If a string is empty, return true, else return false. If we have that logic, there can be a third state also for a string. It can be null also, right? A string can be an empty string, a non-empty string, or can be null. That's a third state also. So in many use cases, it cannot be true or false, just plain true or false. So actually nowadays what people are suggesting is like don't go for a boolean, just go for enums like that. So it is easier to scale up and easier to maintain also. I hope I was clear on that point. I was not confusing, because many times you cannot have just two states in your output, either true or false. You can have third state. If not now, in future you will have. That's my point.
Karthik, here in Enum, we have used a private method here, payment type value one.
Mhm.
So,
It's not a method, it's a constructor actually.
okay, sorry, constructor. So, this is a mandate when we are doing like GPay 1, PhonePe 2, like it would be a mandate, right? When we are assigning a value to
Yes,
the
yes, yes,
enums
yes,
value.
yes, yes. This code is mandate if you are assigning some value.
Okay.
And this constructor should be always private only. Protected and public are
Okay.
not allowed.
Okay. For enum.
Yes, for enums. This constructor should be always private.
Okay.
If you try to modify this as public, it will throw error like this. So it will only say, the compiler only say illegal modify. It should always be private like that. So that is what it is. And
Uh,
yesterday, yes, yes.
hmm. I think can you explain the like what's the use of this mandate or value you are giving there? Like how?
See, it is enum is not a string, right? You don't
Yes,
consider this as a string. It's kind of a type, payment type, right? For example, if you check the type of this GPay, it is not a string, it's a payment type. Whenever you want to call this GPay, right, what you will do? You just go this dot, sorry. So if you say GPay here, you can see two things here. I hope it is. I'll just try to. Okay, that thing is not zooming up. Can you see this? You can
yes,
see S
yes.
and F here, right? S and F means static and final. So its value cannot be altered. But what you see is like this GPay is not of type string; it's of type payment type. So its data type is of type payment type itself. So what you want to do, at many times you want to get its value, right? If you want to use GPay itself at uh, as a string in your class, how you'll do? There are few ways to do it. Either you can say GPay dot name. This name returns a string. If you see, this name has a return type of string, right? So it returns a string itself. It returns a GPay as a string itself. Either you can do like that, or you can go and do something like this. Whenever I say one, then it represents GPay. Whenever I say two, it represents PhonePe, right? You can do in that logic also. By this way, you are going to map this number one to GPay, map this number two to PhonePe. You don't have to store large strings. You can just map some numbers to this enums, and you can work on those numbers itself. It's kind of simpler. Not just numbers, you can do string also. If you just change this to string, you can do some strings also here like this. So you can assign something like GPay is default, and PhonePe is second default. Something you can assign some random things, and you can make use of the things in your project, right? Now you can easily get this default values by using something like this GPay dot value. If you choose value here, then it will go and fetch your default thing here. Okay? So can you use that also? Okay, not a declaration. I'll just show something. Type, you can just say type is equal to um, payment type dot GPay, and you that's return type is string only, right? So what you can choose, string priority equal to type dot value. You can say something like this also. So it's now what it will do, it will know the priority is default, so it should accept this default payment from GPay only. It's some program logic example I'm saying. So because of that only, we are using passing the value of I mean inside the constructor of enums constants. It's a simple use case. There may be, I showed you on my real time project also, right, where we used the enums and all. Maybe to store the things in a database, we don't want to store directly the name. We just use 1, 2, 3 here, like 3 and 4. We store this 3 and 4 in the database, not this internet banking and Paytm. And so through that, the database size is also reduced. And even if you want to scale up something like this 4, 5, 6, we can add something enums here, and later on you can go and change the values in database very easily, not the values itself. Maybe if there is a name correction here, we don't have to do anything extra in our database to store values, right? GPay is a name correction here. Obviously, it is mapped to 1. So nothing special we have to do in database, just name correction in our program logic will do. That is also another use case. Storing database, storing different values in database, which is mapped to some values in our enums. That is also another use case.
Karthik, also, can we get some assignments if we do have any reference or like some interview questions or some assignments so that,
Yes, yes,
yeah.
I'm thinking that Anshul, right? Yes. I've been thinking of that. Maybe we'll start to do this from the next week, all right?
Okay, okay.
Um, Next week, one quick update is like from next week, 2 3 days, I'm moving. I mean, going out of town for some friend's wedding. Okay, right? And that days I'll not be available. I'll inform what are those days. Okay. So maybe I'll try to give the assignments as well for the whatever things we completed this week, and coming week we'll be having 2 3 classes, I think. So I'll be,
Sure, Karthik.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll pass the assignments maybe for you to try over that week. Okay. Anything else we want to discuss? Yeah, one more thing is like strings, right? Whatever we saw. Yes, we saw lots about string, right? How string pool is maintained. How if both strings has the same value, even though it's two different objects, it will refer to the same memory location in our string pool. How to trim, how to replace values in a string, how to what to say, how to use various methods, how to use caret method to get each and every character in the string, how to iterate and reverse a string, and now finally build a string using a class called string builder. Everything we saw in last class. So okay, we are done with the quick recap of the week. So apart from this, like whatever we saw, anything which you wanted to ask or share, you can do that. I'll be sharing my interview experiences shortly, people. Okay, shortly means in the coming classes. I mean, as I said previously in last class also, I said this is one of the most asked interview questions for me at least, right? And there is one question. I don't know whether this question is or not. Very common question in interviews. There is, right. What is that question name? 5 7 problem. Whenever the number 5 comes, you should print some name instead of that. Whenever number 7 comes, you should print some other name. When both comes, okay, okay, that's kind of simple question. Let's forget that. I'll try to give some assignments and coding problems for you to solve in the coming week. All right.
Kartik, can we just, when you give the assignments for coding, can we
Mhm.
just start with the beginners one? Because, like, largest of two numbers, or like sorting 10 numbers, prime number, function to input 2 points, like that. Because there are people who are just new into this, just like me. So,
Okay.
switching to just high level of programming would be difficult. So,
Mhm.
just in case to grab the basic first,
Mhm.
so can we just start from the simpler programs?
Okay, but what I personally feel about simpler programs like, uh, okay, let's start. I don't mind giving those problems, but it is those solutions are kind of everywhere. It's available right in the internet. We can probably train on our own itself.
Yeah, yeah, that is available.
Fine, if you or most of the people feel the same, then we'll try to go with that approach itself.
No,
I
it's not.
would say, I
It's
would
not
say you can,
mandatory that you have to take up in the class. Like, you can just suggest that, yeah, these things are important, or these are the programs in which you'll concentrate, and you'll have a better idea of the concept. So we'll just look into that personally, and then you can carry your own.
Okay. So okay, we'll try to do that. And one more thing which I wanted to emphasize, like, is learning Java is not about doing some programs, right? Doing some largest number or sorting. It's about learning the concepts of object-oriented programming. So what I initially thought is like I can give some a descriptive kind of an assignment like create this kind of class and create this constructor, try to create an object and print this class, something like that.
Yeah, okay, you can give that also, no problem. Because see what I felt, I just told that,
Okay,
nothing
fine, fine,
specific.
fine, fine, fine. Totally
That I
accepted.
can do personally. That totally depends on people in the group as well.
Okay, what about others? Can we do something like that? What Sakshi suggested?
I would say since we have a less time, so most of the time will consume in doing the basic assignments. So if people are suggesting some basic thing also, so we can yeah, just as the like someone said ki you can give some basic assignment, someone wants to do that, they can do that. But I personally would say ki we should focus on that assignments, like those are mostly asked in interviews.
Mm. Okay, what I'll try to do is like I'll try to do some best of both worlds. Uh, Try to combine those things and give some problem where you can do both of the things as well. Right, that would work, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Any other things to discuss, Dibya, Dipta, Vinay?
Nothing from my side, Karthik.
Others? So you can post it in some chat as came, I think. Just give me a second. I'm searching for the problem which I said. Okay, got the name. It's called Fishbus problem. Actually, it's kind of simple problem only. But if you put the order of if-else statement differently, then the output will be different. So kind of use of little logic here to think and get the output. If you just go and see Fishbus problem in Google, then you'll probably get an idea. Just maybe if Sakshi, if you try to solve some basics, you can start with this Fishbus problem. Right.
Okay, okay, I'll check.
So I think we can wrap up the session, right, everyone? Can you post your
Yes.
opinions? Yes. Okay, right? Okay. I'll share this recording also shortly or within tonight in the group. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll meet on Monday. Monday we have classes. We'll meet on Monday.